Commander Alexis Stone had not seen another human face in 2 years. She sat in the control room of mining station Omega-7, watching the empty star field through the main viewport. The station hung in the darkness between solar systems, forgotten by both sides during the war. When the Coalition began their attack on human worlds, Alexis and her small crew had been here extracting rare minerals from asteroids. They had watched their species die from a distance. The station held 12 survivors. There was Dr. Monica Hughes, who ran the medical bay, Chief Engineer Danny Clark, who kept their life support working, and 9 others who had been mining crew or security guards. They lived quietly in the outer rim, hiding from Coalition patrols, and hoping they would never be found. Alexis checked the long-range sensors every day. For 5 years, the readings had shown the same thing: empty space. No human ships, no distress calls, no signs that their species existed anywhere in the galaxy. Sometimes she wondered if they were truly the last ones left. "Commander, you need to see this," called Dr. Hughes from her laboratory. Alexis walked down the narrow corridor to find Monica staring at her computer screen with a confused expression. "What is it, Doc?" Monica pointed to the display. "I've been monitoring Coalition. Communication frequencies like always, but something strange is happening. Their military networks are going silent one by one. Look at this pattern." The screen showed a map of Coalition space. Red dots marked worlds where communications had stopped over the past few months. The dead zones formed a spreading circle that grew larger each week. "Maybe they're having technical problems," suggested Danny Clark from the doorway. The engineer had been listening to their conversation. 12 different star systems with technical problems at the same time? Monica shook her head. "This is something else. I intercepted some emergency broadcasts before the signals cut out. They mentioned something called the Void Plague." Alexis frowned. She had never heard of any disease affecting alien populations. During the war, Coalition forces had seemed perfectly healthy and strong. Their biological weapons had been used against human colonies, but nothing had threatened the aliens themselves. "What kind of plague?" Alexis asked. "The transmissions were encrypted, but I caught fragments," Monica replied. "Neural breakdown, organ failure, death within weeks. It sounds like it attacks their nervous systems." Far away in Coalition space, scientist Velthara worked desperately in her laboratory on the Zephyrian homeworld. The brilliant blue creature had 8 arms that moved independently as she tested sample after sample. Her species had always prided themselves on logical thinking and perfect organization. Now that same logical mind was trying to solve an impossible puzzle. The Void Plague had started as a minor outbreak on 3 colony worlds. Velthara's research team thought it was a natural disease that would be easily controlled. They were wrong. Within months, the plague had jumped to dozens of worlds. Entire civilizations were going dark as the disease consumed their populations. Velthara had studied every aspect of the plague. It was unlike anything in their biological databases. The organism attacked neural pathways in ways that seemed almost intelligent. It targeted the orderly thought processes that all Coalition species shared. Their logical minds became chaotic, and eventually stopped working completely. But the strangest thing was where the plague had come from. Velthara's investigation led her to an ancient archaeological site on Kepler 442b. 5 years ago, Coalition expansion forces had discovered ruins from a long-dead civilization. The artifacts they brought back included a strange crystalline device that none of their scientists could understand. Now Velthara realized that device was a biological weapon. The extinct aliens who built it had faced some terrible enemy long ago. They created the Void Plague as their final desperate act of war. The weapon had waited in those ruins for millions of years until Coalition scientists accidentally activated it. The plague had been designed to target specific types of neural activity. It attacked brains that functioned in logical, organized patterns. Every known intelligent species in the galaxy shared those same basic thought processes. Every species except one. Velthara accessed the military databases from the recent war against humanity. She studied human brain scans that had been taken from prisoners and medical records stolen from human worlds. What she found made her 3 hearts beat faster. Human brains worked completely differently than any other species. Where alien thoughts followed predictable logical paths, human neural activity seemed random and chaotic. Humans made decisions based on emotions and intuition rather than pure logic. Their creativity came from mental processes that jumped between unconnected ideas in ways that looked almost insane to organized alien minds. The Coalition had always seen these traits as evidence of human inferiority. During the war, Coalition strategists had struggled to predict human tactics because they made no logical sense. Human commanders would make decisions that seemed completely irrational but somehow worked perfectly. It was this unpredictable nature that had made the Coalition fear humans enough to attempt genocide. But now Velthara understood that those chaotic thought patterns were actually a form of protection. The Void Plague attacked organized neural activity. Human minds were so disorganized and unpredictable that the plague could not find anything to attack. They were naturally immune. Velthara's research showed that every human brain scan in their databases would resist the plague infection. The species that the Coalition had eliminated as chaotic and dangerous was the only species that could survive the weapon they had accidentally unleashed. She tried to contact the Coalition High Command, but found that half of their leadership was already dead or dying. The plague had reached the core worlds and was spreading faster than their medical teams could respond. Panic was setting in as perfectly ordered civilizations watched their populations collapse. In desperation, Coalition forces began searching their databases for any surviving humans. The genocide had been thorough, but military records showed that some human settlements might have been missed. Deep space mining operations, research stations, and colonies in remote systems might still exist. Commander Alexis Stone was checking the station's food supplies when the proximity alarm sounded. She rushed to the control room where Danny Clark was staring at the sensor display with wide eyes. "Coalition patrol ship," he reported. "Light cruiser, heading straight for us." Alexis felt her blood turn cold. After 5 years of hiding, they had finally been found. She looked around the control room at the frightened faces of her crew. 12 people against a Coalition warship was no contest. "How long until they reach us?" she asked. 20 minutes, Danny replied. Alexis made a decision that surprised everyone, including herself. Instead of running or hiding, she walked to the communications console and opened a channel to the approaching ship. "Coalition vessel, this is Mining Station Omega 7, she transmitted. "We are unarmed civilians. What do you want?" The response came back immediately in heavily accented English. "Human ship, do not run. We need to talk. We need help." Dr. Monica Hughes looked at Alexis with shock. "They need help? From us?" The Coalition commander's voice continued over the radio. "Please. We know about plague, our people dying. Only humans can save us. Please help." Alexis stared at the communications panel. 5 years ago, these aliens had destroyed her world and killed her species. They had hunted humans across the galaxy and shown no mercy. Now they were begging for help. "What plague?" Alexis asked. "Void plague killing all Coalition species, but humans immune. Your brain pattern's different. We made terrible mistake. Please, billions dying every day. Need human help to find cure." Monica grabbed Alexis by the arm. "Commander, this could be a trap. They might be lying to capture us." But Alexis looked at the sensor readings from the Coalition ship. Its energy output was erratic and life support seemed unstable. Through the viewport, she could see that parts of the ship's hull were damaged. This was not a healthy vessel on a hunting mission. This was a desperate ship carrying sick or dying crew members. "Coalition ship. Prepare for docking," Alexis said, finally. "But any hostile action and we will defend ourselves." As the alien vessel approached their station, Alexis wondered if she was making the biggest mistake of her life. The species that had tried to eliminate humanity was now begging for the help of the very people they had attempted to destroy. The irony was almost too much to believe, but if billions of beings were really dying from some plague that only humans could resist, then maybe the galaxy needed chaos and unpredictability more than perfect order. Maybe the traits that made humans seem dangerous were actually what would save everyone. The Coalition ship docked with a gentle bump that shook the entire station. Alexis and her crew prepared to meet face to face with their former enemies who were now desperate enough to ask for salvation from the species they had tried to make extinct. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance watching his world burn. The massive alien ships hung in space like metal mountains, their weapons turning Earth's cities into glass. He gripped the command rail as another wave of Coalition fighters swept past the orbital defense stations. "Sir, the Luna base is gone," reported Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from the communications station. Her voice stayed steady, but Jake could see her hands shaking. They hit it with some kind of plasma cannon. Nothing left but debris. Jake nodded and turned to his tactical officer. "How many ships do we have left, Ben?" Lieutenant Ben Parker checked his screen. 17 destroyers, maybe 30 fighters. The Coalition has over 200 capital ships and thousands of fighters. We're not going to win this fight. The war had started 3 months ago when the Galactic Coalition announced Operation Clean Slate. 12 alien species led by the advanced Zephyrians had decided that humans were too dangerous to exist. They called humans chaotic and unpredictable. They said human emotions made them violent and unstable. The Coalition wanted perfect order in the galaxy, and humans did not fit their plan. Jake remembered the day the first Coalition ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. The aliens had sent a message to Earth's leaders. They offered humanity a choice: leave the galaxy forever or face extinction. Earth's governments tried to negotiate, but the Coalition had already made their decision. Humans had to go. The first battle had been at Mars. The Coalition expected an easy victory against the primitive human fleet. They were wrong. Captain Pete Sullivan had led a small group of human ships against a Coalition battle group twice their size. The humans used tactics the aliens had never seen before. They hid behind asteroids, used decoy signals, and coordinated attacks that seemed random but worked perfectly. Sullivan's ships destroyed 8 Coalition vessels before they were overwhelmed. That victory had given humans hope. Maybe they could fight back against the superior alien technology. Maybe their creativity and unpredictable nature was actually a strength. But the Coalition learned from their mistakes. They sent more ships and used different tactics. The war slowly turned against humanity. Now Earth was dying, and Jake watched from his command deck as the last orbital stations fell. The defense grid that had protected Earth for 50 years was breaking apart under the Coalition bombardment. Emergency signals came from all directions as human ships fought desperately against impossible odds. "Captain Morrison," came a voice over the emergency channel. It was Admiral Lisa Carter calling from her flagship near Jupiter. "All remaining ships fall back to Rally Point 7. We need to regroup." Jake wanted to obey the order, but he looked at Earth below. Billions of people were down there. His wife Kate worked at a hospital in New York. His daughter Emma was at college in California. If the human fleet retreated, those people would die. "Negative, Admiral," Jake replied. "The Defiance is staying here." Dr. Lisa Carter worked frantically in her laboratory on Mars. She had been studying alien biology for years and had made an incredible discovery just as the war began. The research station where she worked was hidden in the Red Planet's northern canyon system. So far, the Coalition had not found it. Lisa stared at the data on her screen. 3 weeks ago, reports had come in from Coalition worlds about a strange new disease. They called it the Void Plague. It attacked the nervous system and killed within days. The Coalition thought it was a natural outbreak and ignored it during their war against humanity. But Lisa had studied the plague samples that human spies had stolen from Coalition ships. What she found changed everything. The disease affected the brain patterns of every known alien species. It destroyed their organized thought processes and drove them insane before killing them. But when Lisa tested human brain tissue, something amazing happened. The plague could not infect human cells at all. Human brains worked differently than alien brains. Where alien minds followed logical patterns, human thoughts jumped around in ways that seemed random. The Coalition had always seen this as a weakness. They thought human emotions and creativity made them inferior. But Lisa's research showed that these chaotic thought patterns made humans completely immune to the Void Plague. Lisa tried to contact, Earth, but the war had destroyed most communication systems. She sent coded messages to any human ship that would listen but got no response. The battle for Earth was too intense for anyone to pay attention to medical research. Meanwhile, the plague was spreading through coalition space. Lisa's instruments picked up emergency broadcasts from alien worlds. Entire planets were going dark as the disease consumed their populations. The coalition military was starting to have problems as their crews became infected. But the aliens fighting at Earth did not know about the plague yet. They continued their attack with devastating efficiency. The orbital defense stations fell one by one. Human ships exploded in bright flashes as coalition weapons found their targets. Jake's ship shook as enemy fire hit the hull. Sparks flew from damaged control panels and the lights flickered. "Hull breach on Deck 7, reported Chief Engineer Kevin Walsh over the intercom. "We're losing atmosphere fast. Seal it off," Jake ordered. He turned to Amy at the communications station. "Send a message on all frequencies, full broadcast." "Sir, that will give away our position to every coalition ship in the system," Amy warned. "Do it anyway," Jake said firmly. Amy nodded and opened the channel. Jake took a deep breath and began speaking. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United. Earthship Defiance. To anyone listening, human or alien, I need you to know something important. We are not just fighting for our survival here. There is something happening in coalition space that changes everything. A plague is killing alien populations, but humans are immune. Our chaotic minds that you hate so much are actually protecting us from this disease. If you wipe us out, you lose the only species that can help you survive what is coming." Coalition ships immediately targeted the Defiance after Jake's broadcast. Plasma beams and missile salvos converged on the human vessel. Jake felt the ship breaking apart around him as he continued speaking. "Our differences are not weaknesses to be eliminated. They are the strength that keeps us all alive. Remember that when your perfect order starts falling apart." The transmission ended as the Defiance exploded in a ball of fire. Jake Morrison and his crew died defending their world, but their message traveled across space on radio waves that would reach distant star systems long after Earth had fallen. Within hours, the last human defense ships were destroyed. Coalition bombardment ships moved into lower orbit and began the systematic destruction of Earth's surface. Cities that had stood for thousands of years vanished in nuclear fire. The blue-green world that had given birth to humanity became a lifeless rock floating in space. The human species had been eliminated from the galaxy. The coalition had achieved perfect order through genocide. Their military commanders celebrated the victory and prepared to return home to their orderly worlds. But Lisa Carter's plague samples were still spreading through coalition space. The aliens had won their war against chaos and creativity. Soon, they would discover that chaos and creativity were exactly what they needed to survive. The coalition commander who stepped through the airlock looked nothing like the proud warriors who had attacked Earth 5 years ago. Captain Zex Kolar was a tall reptilian being with green scales and 4 arms, but now those scales were gray and dull. His movements were slow and unsteady, and Alexis could see dark veins spreading across his neck and face. "You are sick," Dr. Monica Hughes said immediately, pulling out her medical scanner. "Yes," Zex Kolar replied in broken English. "Void plague in my crew, in me. Maybe 2 weeks before we die. You help us. We tell you everything." Alexis led the alien captain to their small conference room while Monica ran medical scans. The readings were disturbing. The coalition officer's neural activity was breaking down in patterns she had never seen before. His organized thought processes were literally falling apart. "How many of your people are infected?" Alexis asked. Zex Kolar's translator device struggled to convert his words. "Billions dead already. Hundreds of worlds gone silent. My government sending ships to find any humans still alive. You may be last hope for galaxy." Dr. Kevin Walsh had been listening from the medical bay. The former battlefield medic stepped into the room with a grim expression. During the war, Kevin had treated human soldiers who had been wounded by coalition weapons. He had watched friends die from alien plasma burns and biological weapons. Now those same aliens were asking him to save their lives. "Why should we help you?" Kevin asked bluntly, Your people killed our families, destroyed our worlds. You tried to eliminate our entire species. Zex Kolar's large eyes focused on Kevin with difficulty. We were wrong. Made terrible mistake. Thought human chaos was dangerous, but chaos is what saves from plague. Your minds work different, immune to disease. We need human medicine, human thinking to find cure. Monica looked up from her scanner readings. The plague targets organized neural pathways. Every coalition species thinks in logical, predictable patterns. But human brains are different. We make connections that seem random, but actually work. The plague can't attack what it can't predict. Chief Engineer Danny Clark joined them from the control room. I'm picking up more coalition ships heading this way. Looks like a whole fleet. Alexis made a quick decision. Danny, prepare the station for multiple docking procedures. Monica, start working on biological samples from Captain Zex Kolar. Kevin, help her develop some kind of treatment. Over the next few hours, coalition ships arrived one by one. Each vessel carried sick and dying crew members who begged the humans for help. Alexis found herself coordinating a massive medical effort using their tiny mining station as a base. The first breakthrough came when Monica discovered that human blood contained antibodies that could slow the plague's progress. The treatment was not a cure, but it bought infected aliens more time before the neural breakdown became fatal. We need more humans, Monica told Alexis after treating 20 coalition officers. I can keep them alive longer, but I need more blood samples. More human immune systems to study. Captain Zex Kolar provided the locations of other human survivor groups that coalition scouts had found. There was Captain Amy Rodriguez, living with primitive aliens on a world called Haven 3. There was a group of human colonists hiding in the asteroid belt of the Vega system. There were research teams on distant worlds and mining crews in forgotten sectors. Bring them here, Alexis ordered. Tell them the situation. Let them decide if they want to help. The response from human survivors was mixed. Amy Rodriguez arrived 2 days later on a coalition transport ship. She was suspicious and angry, but willing to listen. The colonists from Vega refused to come at first, but changed their minds when they learned how many beings were dying. Dr. Pete Sullivan had been hiding on a research station studying alien plant life. When coalition ships found him, he initially tried to fight them off with improvised weapons. But when he learned about the plague, his scientific curiosity overcame his hatred. This is incredible, Pete said as he reviewed Monica's data. The weapon was designed millions of years ago to fight some unknown enemy. It targets the basic neural patterns that all intelligent species evolved independently, except us. Amy Rodriguez was less enthusiastic about helping their former enemies. They killed my husband during the siege of Luna Base. My daughter died when they bombed our colony ship. Now they want me to donate blood to keep them alive. Kevin Walsh understood her feelings completely. I feel the same way, Amy. But look, around. We're the last humans in the galaxy. If we let everyone else die, we'll be alone forever. Is that really what we want? The moral debate continued as more human survivors arrived at the station. Some were eager to help, while others refused to participate. A few even suggested letting the coalition species die as punishment for their genocide. But the medical work continued. Monica and Pete developed better treatments using combined human immune responses. They discovered that different humans produced slightly different antibodies that were effective against different stages of the plague. The coalition provided everything the humans requested. They brought medical equipment, research materials, and communication systems that allowed the survivors to coordinate their efforts across multiple star systems. They also provided detailed records of their archaeological discovery on Kepler 442b. The original aliens who built this weapon faced complete extinction, Pete explained to the group. They created the Void Plague as their final act of revenge against whatever destroyed them. The weapon was programmed to activate if it detected certain types of neural patterns. What kinds of patterns? Alexis asked. Organized, logical thinking. The kind of mental processes that would develop advanced technology and space travel. The weapon was designed to eliminate any species